Hello, my name is Denise Parrish, and I will be your moderator for this ICER webinar on social media. I am the Deputy Administrator at the Office of Consumer Advocate at the Wyoming Public Service Commission. And I'm a founding member of the Women in Energy group. Today's webinar is part of a series of webinars that are run by the ICER and Women in Energy Initiative. And it is the second webinar relative to social media. The first was held in October of 2015, and it is recorded and available on the Women in Energy website. If you're looking for that, just Google ICER WE and it should pop up, and you should be able to find previous webinars recorded there. The first webinar was on branding, personal branding, and enhancing one's profile. Today's topic is different in that we will talk about how organizations can use social media and do use social media. We hope to present some examples. We have people with 3 different perspectives about the use of social media, and there will be some how-tos and some tips, as well as some best practices and some real-life examples of how it's being used. And we hope that by the end you will see the benefits of using social media with your organization. We have 3 expert speakers today, and they represent different perspectives. Our first speaker will be Mr. Sharif Zohair. He is a senior tariff specialist with the Egyptian Electric Utility and Consumer Protection Regulatory Agency. He intends to focus his comments on the Egyptian regulators' activities using social media and how they receive feedback from stakeholders and just tell you what they're doing in Egypt. Our second speaker is Regina Davis. She is the Director of Communications for the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners in the USA. She intends to speak about engaging followers, targeting messages, best practices, and whatever else we get into. The third speaker is Ms. Carrie Evenson. She is the Director of Creative Strategy for a consulting firm named C+C, and it is a firm that specializes in social media and public relations with a focus on sustainability and all things that are good in the world. So she will speak on how different content can be best used on different media platforms and whatever else we get into. So just a little bit about how the webinar will work. Each of the speakers will provide a few minutes of prepared remarks. They are on PowerPoints, and those PowerPoints will be posted on the WE website as well. Following each of their prepared remarks, we will take a few questions from the audience. If you can submit those while the speakers are speaking, then we will take your questions as we can, as many of them as we can. And then at the end of the webinar, we will have more time for questions. At the end of their prepared presentations, we will have more time for questions. Anytime during the webinar, you can type your question out in the question box on your screen, and it will be relayed to us, and I will relay it to the speakers. So please, we want to engage the audience. We want this to be participatory, and we want to answer your questions. So please send those to us as we start. The audio of this webinar is also being recorded and will be available on the website within a few days. So if you can't stay for it all, or if you have a colleague that is missing it, know that you have another chance to hear it. So with that, I will ask Mr. Sharif Zohair from Egypt to make his presentation.
Thanks, Dennis. Hello, everybody. I will try to give you a brief about EgyptEra activity on social media. First of all, I want to say that 3 years ago, EgyptEra took a decision to increase the transparency on its daily work and also push the electricity sector to that direction. We create an account on Facebook or page on Facebook. Also, we have created a Twitter account and a YouTube channel to have the channels to talk to electricity customers and to deal with them. I want to give you this info that Egypt is the first Arab country and the 17 worldwide that use Facebook the most. So in Egypt, we decide to concentrate on Facebook to deal or talk with people. But first of all, in the beginning, we have 3 main obstacles. First, how we can attract followers to our accounts. We don't have enough budget to use ads. Second, EgyptEra, it's not a famous entity in Egypt or popular to get or attract people to us. We are not selling or offering any services as I consider customer complaints product, because we don't have enough human resources to deal with that subject. Third, in this time when we go to social media, Egypt was facing about 6,000 megawatt deficit in the electricity production. A lot of customers was suffering from service interruption for more than 1 time per day, each time about more than 1 hour, and they are not know what's the reason of the interruption, why we are facing service interruption in electricity. It was very risky to us to go public and to talk to people at this time. The Ministry of Electricity itself have no information or didn't announce any information to describe to customer about the service interruption. And we see in EgyptEra that we have a big problem of information in the electricity sector. So we decided to build a system and to publish information using social media. We start to publish a daily newsletter, as you see in my slide, contains basic information about the electricity situation in Egypt in light way, soft information. The daily newsletter contains information about the grid loads during the last night. Here we can see the peak demand and its time, the minimum demand and its time. Also we have a sector for comparison with the same day in the last year to know how much our demand are increasing yearly. Also a comparison with the amount of energy produced to know the trend of the generation and the resources we depend on it to produce electricity. So we know that Egypt are depending a lot on gas here in yellow, and so any gas shortage will reflect in the production of electricity. Also we have a sector for the CO2 emission just below the electricity production. At last we have the day expectation and if we expect to face a deficit or not. We are publishing this data through Facebook and Twitter, also our website egyptera.org, and we have a list on WhatsApp also. So we are using all the social media accounts that we have, and also we added a WhatsApp. This service attract all the media to us. That was really amazing because they discover that we are transparent and dealing with publishing information, no problem with us. But the problem is this data is belong to yesterday. A lot of people are asking to publish in this time the daily information to have a chance to see the grid situation. So we began to produce another service and publish it in our social media. We have here a gadget with 24-hour produced or linked with the transmission company or the control center, and they are pushing the grid status, the live grid status of the electricity. And if there is any shortage or we are facing a trouble, they are hitting the bottom electronically, and maybe people can see that and help us to pass the crisis that we have. Also, we have integrated with mobile application. You can find it on Google Play for Android system. It's named خد بالك. This mobile application are integrated with our system of the electricity observatory, and when the grid status are changed, they are sending push notifications through the mobile app to the customers with predefined messages if they want to interact with us and reduce their consumption. So we are using also our social account, Facebook and Twitter, to push or publish the information when the grid status are changed, and with also a predefined messages to let people interact with us. But still people have a problem that not all of us are using social media, and we have in this time to engage much people that we can. So we make another deal with CBC channel. It's the biggest TV channel in the Middle East, and we try to put a gadget in their ticker bar with predefined messages and engage that with our system of the electricity observatory. And when the loads are changing from green to yellow or to red, automatically we push on the ticker bar predefined messages to customers that the electricity sector now is facing a big problem, and we need your cooperation with us to reduce your consumption. That will help us to reduce the time of interruption. And these were very welcomed by customer, and also another TV channels named المحور asked to push this ticker bar to its screen. And here we have a picture from each TV channel with the ticker bar with the yellow and red and green, and the predefined messages, it's also in Arabic, sorry, in the ticker bar to let customers engage with the electricity sector and help us to pass it or pass the current situation. A lot of people are very happy and amazed, but many of them are trying to help us, but they still have service interruption because the load shedding procedures was made according to schedule groups, so they don't separate between customers who can reduce their consumption or not. So we increase the service of خد بالك application and put an alarm system into it, and we have also a website named Egypt Era SES. It stands for Egypt Era Smart Electricity Service. Any customer can register to this website and choose the location of the place he wants to know the situation of the interruption on it. So when this place will face a service interruption, a push notification will be sent to the mobile through خد بالك, and also email through Egypt Era SES to the registered email. Let them know that they will face a service interruption. This service were really active in the 9 distribution company. Also, we have a portal here, Egypt Era SES. We create or added a lot of service to let the customer know from Egypt Era SES all the needed information about their accounts in the distribution company, their bills, and all of that. We create a Facebook group to provide the technical support to the system in the beginning, in the period of testing. And after announcing, officially announcing of that all services, we switch the technical support to our official page, egyptera.official, to engage the followers or the people in Facebook to our page, and we have a space to talk about conservation or about Egyptera itself, the role, the duties, all of that. Here I have some reviews of Facebook user. So here it's in English, so I put it in our slide. It's named Mary Whelan. He written that she knew about the service that we are provided, and she was really amazed that there is such services is available in Egypt. So it was really amazing for us to see these comments. All these services are track a lot of people to our Facebook page without paying any money. So we have, we can see here the increasing during the times to reach the top of the pyramids here. So it's it was really appreciated that we are offering services. Not only we are regulator and we make penalties or dealing with customer complaints, but we are offering services in the cooperation with distribution companies and the electricity sector at all. So it was really amazing, really good for customers to see us in this side. Here I have some information about top sources for our Facebook. You can see that the second line here, it shows that egypterases.com is the first place for top sources for our page. So it's very good to us to see that our services are bringing customers to our social media accounts. And we are offering all the service for free and willing to get more and more cooperation with the customer. And this is all. Thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation, and to see 72,000 likes on one of your pages, that's amazing. That's just a number I never would have expected. So let me just ask if either of the other two panelists, Regina or Carrie, if you have any comments or questions personally. Anything?
I didn't have a question.
Yes, you're welcome.
Where did you start? Did you start with Facebook, or did you start with the e-newsletter?
We start with Facebook first, and after that we began to publish our newsletter and all the service after that. But we started first with Facebook and Twitter in the same time. But here in Egypt, the people like more Facebook than Twitter because they have more space to discuss and to write their feedback more than Twitter.
I have a question.
Please.
So how many people do you have managing and moderating your Facebook page?
Nice question. Yes, we have about 2 persons here in Egyptera.
Okay.
So my question was whether you've seen a response from the electricity provider since you've been doing this. Are they doing more on social media now, and are you coordinating more with them as this has taken off?
No, the service provider here is governmental entities. Most of them don't have account on Facebook and also don't have the thinking of going to Facebook or to social media and to talk to people. So it's only us, Egyptera here, who talk to people through the social media, and also it was very appreciated from them. You can Google it for Electricity Observatory or the ticker bar in Egypt, the TV ticker bar. Here we have a lot of people working in Egypt era when they are going to their family or their colleague and said that I am working in Egypt era, they don't know the name. But when they mention that we are making the ticker bar in the TV, yes, yes, we know you, yes, yes. So we are famous from our services.
Nice, nice. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
We'll have some more questions for you in just a few moments, but next.
Yeah, sure, I'm here.
Great. Next, we'll go to Regina Davis and hear her perspective on the use of social media.
Thank you. I think this will be a good follow-up because a lot of my information will pertain to Twitter, because here at NARUC we're very strong on Twitter, although we do have Facebook account. We also have a YouTube account. But in the last year, since I came on board a year ago, the communications department has really taken much stronger control over the social media section. We now have a full-time staff member who's in charge of managing social media and web information. So I think that has helped us really have some tremendous leads in this area and do things that we really want to do. So early on, when I asked about how I should proceed with this presentation, I was informed by someone that I should just sort of keep it at a basic level, and I know that one of the questions I saw early was how to really engage people and have that interaction. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the art of social media engagement, and I thought I'd sort of take a whimsical approach and look at it as a courtship, as a relationship, because these are relationships, after all, that we want to keep and maintain. So, starting with the courtship, try to understand your brand and your goals. You want to identify, you want to have a good identity and a purpose. So if you know who you are, what your organization is trying to achieve, and having some goals, that will help you manage your expectations in terms of attracting followers and users. Also, you need to know your audience and their needs. We know for us at NARUC that the regulatory agencies who are our members of the association, many of them use Twitter. Some also use Facebook as well. So that's how we try to focus a lot of our efforts. Of course, when you're out there trying to attract new users, you really want people to follow you, and sometimes you have that sense of desperation, but just know that not all users are the same, and do some research. You know that 12 to 24-year-olds are really strong in Snapchat and Instagram. When it comes to Pinterest, there are a lot of women who are on Pinterest. It's popular with younger users also, those who are over 50, some high and low income folks as well. Then when we look at Twitter, Twitter is very popular across the board. We know that it is also popular with adults under 50. It's popular with those who are college educated, and in recent years we've seen some trending upward with increases in those in the 65+ age group. And then with Facebook, we know that there are a lot of women who use Facebook, and these women tend to not only friend their children, friend their actual friends, but they are friends with their parents, they're friends with their neighbors. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about your demographics, and if you are limited, which type or types of social media platforms you would like to select. Of course, in every relationship, we think about a kiss, and in this instance, I like to think about keeping it sustainable with simplicity. Of course, you want to stay focused on your message, so sometimes simplicity is the key with that. Simple, direct messages are easier for folks to retain and to act on if you want them to act on something. And always ask yourself, if pulling in a lot of other features, video, polls, pictures, etc., will that amplify your message or will it detract from your message? So think about what you want to accomplish and how you want to accomplish, and that will help sustain and generate followers. Relationships, all relationships need TLC. The first is time. This can often be a time-consuming activity once you really get into it. So you want to put in the time. You want to understand also what the trends are. And trends and trendy are not the same thing. You need to find out what trends people are following who are in your core audiences, but not necessarily chase everything that's trendy, because then you will not have the sustainability that you may be looking for in your audience. Loyalty. You want loyalty. You want to have loyal followers. And so listening leads to likes and follows. There are lots of listening tools out there that you can use. There are lots of apps that you can get. And there are articles on understanding how to be a good social listener. A lot of times you'll get feedback from your followers and your users. So listen to what they're saying, read what they're saying, and if necessary, you can respond. You need to be committed. This is not something that you can do once in a while. This is why we have someone on staff full-time who is committed to doing our social media. So that type of commitment leads to connections and more click-throughs when you have links on these pages. So Statista.com states that as of 2015, the daily social media use on the global internet was 106.2 minutes per day, which is slightly up from the previous year. So in terms of a time commitment, people are investing time using social media every day on average. Of course, we like to use hashtags, but there are certain good habits that you should know with hashtagging. Your hashtag should make sense, especially in a professional environment. We have to use hashtags that will be remembered, that will help you connect and engage. Think about word economy. Consider the number of characters that you're using in your hashtag. There are certain formulas also in terms of using hashtags. We do try to use the rule of thumb of using 1 to 2 hashtags per Twitter post when we tweet. Sometimes we go a little bit more, and we will push it to 3 sometimes if it's really, really necessary and if we see that connection is necessary. You can use more hashtags, of course, on Instagram and Facebook. Using a hashtag can often double your online engagements. But when you go beyond 2, 3 per post, if you have 5 or 6 in a Twitter post, then engagement can drop by 17%. So we want you to be successful in your hashtagging and not have hashtag fails. Any relationship, you have to monitor it. So you want to try to review your metrics regularly. And of course on Twitter, which is what we use most often, Twitter provides a lot of great metrics for you. And I have some examples from Twitter and also from Keyhole that also provides some great metrics. You can look at your tweet activity, how many impressions you're getting in the last 24 hours, your tweet activity overall, some demographics, who are folks who are the most influential. Once you have this information, then that will help you reach out to, for example, some of your most influential followers, and you can try to connect even more with them because your influencers help you to get more followers. And remember that when you are on social media, you have to be social if you want to engage. That means you can retweet, comment on posts that are of interest to you and that you think will be of interest to other followers. There are certain etiquette rules that you can follow that will help you to engage more people. You want to thank your users who share, who retweet, and who comment on your posts. And also be sure to use tagging. And that's particularly true when you're sharing others' content. Consider the you have the hashtag Follow Friday, so you can recommend another profile, Twitter profile, but you will want to have a reason to endorse or to show appreciation for those other profiles that you are promoting. And I also have some resources that people can use if they want to try to reach out more, understand their metrics, understand audiences, demographics, etc. And I will say that the Pew Research Center has put out some interesting articles on demographics, news habits, etc. In terms of Facebook versus Twitter.
Great. Thank you, Regina. So let me again ask the other two speakers if you have any follow-up you would like to make to Regina's comments or any questions you'd like to ask her.
Regina, have you found success or have you done much with Twitter chats and discussions using dedicated hashtags at specific times of the week to talk about specific topics?
I'm glad you asked that because I'm trying to really crack that nut, and I'm thinking about doing that in the future, especially in terms of promoting some of our meetings. We have 3 national meetings every year, and I'm thinking that that might be a good tool to use moving forward as we try to promote some of these events, because we do see a huge spike in terms of our engagement and followers as we lead up to these events. I know that right now we get about 133 new followers each month. I recently looked at our quarterly statistics on Twitter, and I think that using the chat would help us immensely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Please, Sharif.
Okay. Regina, I want to talk about hashtag because here in Egypt, when customers are complaining from any issue, they are raising hashtag in our social media. So I tried to participate and make a post or make something to give people information and use this hashtag, but I can't measure the impact of using the same hashtag or to participate with the hashtag. So how you can evaluate participating in the hashtag?
Well, you can go to sites such as Hashtagify.me, you can Hashtagify.me, you can, and Twitter also can help you measure your hashtag, but you're on Facebook, but there are lots of sites that you can go to where you can just type in your hashtag and it can give you some feedback on your hashtag and how your hashtag is being promoted and how people are following your hashtag. If you may not have the money to go to Hootsuite, but you can go to Keyhole also. I would say Hashtagify.me, Keyhole, that those two would be really good. And also make sure that you are using that hashtag in all of your replies. So are you just replying to the folks, or are you incorporating that hashtag in your responses?
We are using the same hashtag in posts in Facebook. So if they are complaining from increasing in their monthly bill, they make a hashtag. So we are trying to participate in posting about the system with the same hashtag to see how they can or how we can track them to our system.
Well, when you're making these posts, are you looking at your likes, at your shares? Are people sharing your post with other folks when you do this?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Are they, and how does that compare to your normal shares? Do you see a spike in those types of shares versus just your normal everyday posts?
Yes, it is
Because that's
normal.
because that's a measure too that you can't dismiss. So if you're posting and replying, and people are sharing those responses with others, then that means that you are that it is resonating with folks to some degree anyway.
Okay.
So, Regina, I have a question. You mentioned that you will often promote your meetings on social media and through Twitter. Can you give us an example, as a regional regulatory organization, what other sorts of messages you try to get out through Twitter? What other things are you trying to promote through your social media posts?
For us, when we're on social media, we put out lots of messages, lots of content all the time. For example, yesterday I sent out a press release, so that was promoted on social media. People who are mentioned in press releases, we tag those individuals or their organizations as well. So if people are added to committees as chairs, then that means that their Public Service Commission, if their Public Service Commission is on social media, then we will identify that as well. We won't simply just send out a link to our press release. We'll also incorporate tagging as well. Also on social media, if there are articles of interest to our community, we try to promote that as well. Surely, whenever we are mentioned in the news, any of our members are mentioned, if there are interesting or relevant legal actions, court cases, we push that out. So that's an important method of making those connections that you want and engaging people, is to understand, of course, through your demographics, what type of information they're looking for and what they expect out of you. Because relationships have a two-way street. You know what you want, but you also have to know what your audience wants as well. And we know that through Twitter, people look to Twitter a lot for breaking news. So when there's some type of breaking news, let's say there's any type of emergency incident that might engage our members, let's say there's a pipeline explosion or something of that nature, then we will push that information out as well. So we have a variety of content that we're pushing on Twitter. We use Periscope at our winter meeting, and so we were able to add that content as well, and people could look at video real time as they were following us.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Carrie, we would love to hear your presentation and your perspective on the use of social media. Unmute. You need to unmute yourself.
Here we are. Thank you, Denise. So I am going to talk a little bit more in detail about the types of content that we push out on social media and what works best for different channels and different platforms. So I'll get a little bit more detailed with a lot of statistics, but I won't spend too much time on it. This is one of my favorite quotes from the Facebook CEO, Mark Zuckerberg. In the last 100 years, the way to advertise was to get into the mass media and push your content. In the next 100 years, information won't be pushed out. It will be shared among the millions of connections people have, and you will need to get into these connections. And for us, that means...
Carrie, we are not seeing your slides.
Oh. Let's try this again. I've clicked on showing my screen, a few times.
We will let you talk it through, but just know that people are not seeing your slides yet at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try a few times throughout this. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right. If you can just talk them through as you're going through them.
Okay, will do. So the next slide I have is about the 3 elements of social media success. And the 3 that I think about are commitment, which Regina talked a lot about, engagement, which Sharif has done a great job with his organization, and content. And what we mean by content is what are the things, what are the pieces that we're creating, what is the information that we're sending out? Is it photos? Is it videos, images and graphics, illustrations, infographics, and data visualizations to give people information that they need? Regina talked a lot about breaking news and press releases and information like that. That is a form of content. Blogs and email newsletters are also forms of content. So when we think about content, it's what are we creating and what are we pushing out to our audience that's going to be relevant for them. And for each social media platform, there's different types of content that work best. But in order to create the best content, we want to have a strategy. So what I think about before developing any sort of content for my audience is a few different things that go into my strategy. One is understanding where you've been and where you want to go. So this gets to the goals for your organization. What type of information is your audience looking for? What have you put out in the past? And how has it performed? Has it worked well? Has it fallen flat? What are the types of things, what are the types of posts that have gotten a lot of engagement? What's the type of information that your audience is really looking for? And Regina shared some great tools on how you can analyze performance of your content on social media on different platforms. So taking a good look at what you've put out there already and what others have put out as well and how it's performed with your audience, that will give you a good idea of what to create in the future and what to start putting out to meet your goals. Also telling a consistent story, and this gets back to what is your organization's brand story? How do you want to appear on social media? What is the tone that you want to put out? And if you are consistent in your messaging and your tone, the look and feel of things that you're putting out, that will also make each piece work that much harder for your target audience. Another thing that we think about is making the plan and prioritizing and assigning jobs. Someone's got to do it. So who is going to do it? What is your editorial plan? Sometimes for clients we'll make a 1-month plan for content. So we plan out exactly what we're going to create, what we're going to push out. And this is helpful when people are just getting started on social media because it makes them feel good to have a plan over the next few weeks of what goes out when, leaving space to be reactive for things like breaking news that happen that you want to jump on and comment on. But really making sure that you know who is assigned to these jobs and that way it gets done. I know in our organization if no one is assigned it, it doesn't get done. So that's good to think about. And then analyzing and adjusting as you go. And what you want from your content is things that inform people, engage people, and motivate them. So thinking about what you want people to do when they see your posts, when they see your content, will help you create for each channel. So I'll go through a few of the different channels and what we're seeing that works best on each platform. I won't touch on all of them, there's so many, but I'll touch on the big ones. So on Facebook, we're finding that images and video are really, really making up the bulk of the most engaging posts. So things like quotes and infographics on the image side, and for video, video posts average 62% more engagement than even photos. Facebook is really growing in the video space with 8 billion video views per day, and this data is a couple of months old, so I know it's even higher now. And when you think about posting video, one of the biggest questions people have is how long should it be? What type of video should it be? So what we're seeing for Facebook is shorter video is better. The ideal length for a video, if you want people to complete and watch the whole thing, is 22 seconds. So a 30-second video is fine in terms of Facebook. People really drop off after 20 or so seconds, so you lose them anyway. And then another thing to remember on Facebook in terms of video is videos that you upload directly to Facebook versus linking out to somewhere like YouTube or Vimeo get 52 times more views than those that you link on the outside. And that's because Facebook really wants you to upload your video directly to the platform, and they have modified their system and their algorithm to really favor that type of content. So if you have a video, you're much more likely to get it viewed if you upload it directly to Facebook versus linking out to a YouTube video. Facebook is also getting into the live video broadcast, much like Periscope, like Regina mentioned. And one stat to me that's very interesting is 75% of people view content on Facebook on their mobile phones, which is just growing every month. Two final bits on Facebook. People wonder about the best times of the week or times of day to post. What you find on Facebook is Thursday and Friday are typically the days that get the most engagement during the work week. And then on Friday, I'm sure this is no surprise to people, they call it the Facebook Happiness Index, increases by 10% on Friday. So people are posting happier content and happier sentiments on a Friday. Moving on to Twitter, we also see that images, photos, and videos get a lot more engagement on Twitter. Photos have 35% more retweets. Images have 18% more clicks and almost 90% more likes on Twitter, and 150% more retweets. Videos are about 30% more retweets on Twitter, and the videos on Twitter are the shorter form now as well. One way that people use Twitter with images is to have an image and put the words over the top of the image, so to combine words and imagery to get more information across, and sometimes get more information out than the Twitter character limit allows. So it's a way to combine your information with something visual that lets people retweet, react to a little bit more easily. So Twitter is also very good for that breaking news type of content that Regina was talking about. And on Twitter, 80% of people are accessing it on their mobile phones. So thinking about what you're putting out there and making sure that it's going to work for someone who doesn't have a big screen to look at, but are looking on their mobile phones. I mentioned YouTube a little bit before. YouTube is actually where longer form video is doing very well. So if you have informational videos, how-to videos, things that position your organization as a thought leader or an expert in your field, this is where YouTube is really great. People tend to drop off of a video on YouTube if they don't know what you want them to do within about 30 seconds. So if you can think about when you're creating your video, integrating that call to action early so people know what they are supposed to take away from the video, what you would like them to do, is a good idea. 60% of people are viewing YouTube on their mobile phones, so again, a big percentage of folks using their phones. Another great way that we're using YouTube for a lot of our clients is through influencer partnerships. There are a lot of YouTube stars or YouTube experts out there who have dedicated audiences, and you will find these folks as experts in any field. Energy, cooking, you name it, there is someone who is a YouTube expert and a YouTube star. So we'll actually partner with these folks to create videos and create content and they will send it out to their followers, and so you extend your audience in a really targeted and engaged way, so you don't have to worry about trying to get your content to the right people. You're partnering with people who are already reaching your audience and getting the content out there. So you add that credibility of the experts combined with your message, which has worked really well for us. LinkedIn is one we haven't talked about much today, but it's a platform where your organization can actually shine as well as you as an individual. So for LinkedIn, if you have a company page, you can use that for thought leadership. They don't allow you on LinkedIn to post company and organizational blogs or content that way, but what you can do, and folks like Microsoft do a very good job of this, they have a lot of content off of LinkedIn, but they link back to it, and they do a great job of linking to their outside organizational content through LinkedIn. So they're engaging people across all channels. It's also a great place to see what your competitors are doing or what your peers in the space are doing, sharing industry news, getting involved in LinkedIn groups for your industry, and really networking that way and positioning your organization's leaders as experts in your field. So through that focus on the individual, you can position your organization well and make a lot of different connections. Let's see. The last one I wanted to touch on is Instagram, and this is one that is gaining popularity very quickly worldwide, and it's very focused on photos right now. They have integrated video capabilities, but photos still get 36% more likes on Instagram than videos do. So it's sticking to its roots right now as a photo sharing platform. Another interesting note is that pictures of people and faces increase the number of likes and engagement that photos get on Instagram. The way that we've used Instagram for a lot of our clients, and we do work with a lot of government clients, is with a lot of these behind-the-scenes type of photos. So if we have an event or if there's a campaign or initiative happening, we'll take photos behind the scenes showing how something works. Instagram allows for very long captions and comments on the platform, so you can be a little bit more descriptive than you might be able to be on something like Twitter. You can also add your location to your post, which increases engagement by 79%, which is pretty amazing. And Instagram is meant for people to use mobile. You can use it on your desktop computer, but the functionality is not great. So Instagram is really a platform that was created for use on mobile, and that's how the vast majority of people use it. So it's very image focused, but you are able to use a good amount of text to describe what you're doing, and that's also where you can use more hashtags. Like Regina said, Twitter you want 1 or 2 hashtags, but Instagram you'll see posts with 10 or more hashtags, and that's a really great way to tap into a lot of those conversations that are already happening on Instagram and reach more people with your message and your image. All right, so I'm going to wrap up with just a few key takeaways, and again I apologize that for some reason the images aren't showing here, but visuals are the key to success on social media. If you can combine your content with visuals, and it doesn't have to be fancy, you don't need a large production budget, you can take photos and add captions to them. You can take some data that your organization has and add some visualization to it and post that. It's very simple, and it's a really great way of boosting engagement. Whatever you do should be mobile friendly, because people are using their mobile phones and mobile devices to access social media more and more. Paying attention to new features and trends, and Regina touched on this as well, I think is really great, so you can see what people are excited about and tapping into that while staying true to your company's mission. Making a plan, making sure you know who is doing what so it actually gets done, and then this testing and flexibility piece, testing what is working, looking at what you're putting out there if it's not getting engagement, looking at maybe why and how you might be able to switch things up to get further engagement in the future. So, thank you.
Great. Let me just impose a question before I ask others if they have any. We would still invite the audience to send additional questions. If you'd like, you can just type your message in and we will ask a question for you. This question is to Carrie, but also Regina and Sharif, is that our target audience is regulators and regulatory organizations, regional organizations. So if someone is not already using social media, what would be the best place to start? How would you encourage them to begin to engage using a platform?
Yeah, I think looking and seeing if you can learn a little bit about how your audience is using social media and where they are engaging so you can meet them where they are. That's usually my first advice to a client. Find out exactly where your audience is and meet them where they are and engage with them there. I do think Twitter is a great platform for the energy industry, for thought leadership, for this breaking news piece that Regina was talking about, having these short conversations, tagging folks. It's a great way to get information out quickly. And they are integrating more of the visual piece, so you are able to integrate more the photos, the graphics, the video than you were before. I think Facebook is, while a lot of bigger brands and consumer brands are on Facebook, many times, and utilities are on Facebook because that's where their customers are, and that makes sense to pay attention to that. But in terms of engaging with the regulators and that audience, I do think Twitter may be a good place to start for folks.
Other thoughts on that?
I will, of course, amplify everything that she said, and she's absolutely correct. And I will add to that that coming from a regulatory agency as I did, many of the communications offices are just one person. So with only one person, you really have to make a good deliberative choice about what you're going to do because you can't do it all. Also on Twitter, you have TweetDeck so that you can stage out your tweets in advance so that you can turn your attention to something else if you have to, which is often the case.
Right.
I have a question for Carrie.
Please.
Can I? Yes, I'm talking about publishing a video or using video on Facebook especially. People in Facebook love to see video, but which is preferred, to post the video through Facebook or send the link from you to gain from the reshare and the likes and the views with your YouTube channel, which you preferred with your statistics?
Yeah, Facebook really wants you to upload your video directly through Facebook. It used to be that there wasn't much of a difference between the outside links from YouTube or Vimeo and what you call uploading natively on Facebook, but they have programmed their algorithm to favor the videos that are uploaded directly through the platform. So, and then they have things like autoplay features. So people will see the videos that are uploaded directly play automatically, and they'll be muted, but you have a bigger chance of engaging someone with your content. If it plays already for them, you don't need them to actually take that action to push play like you would on a YouTube link or a Vimeo link or an outside source. So it gets way more views and engagement if it is uploaded natively on Facebook.
All right, well, we are at the end of our hour, went very quickly and was very informative. So let me just wrap it up by thanking our speakers very much and reminding our audience that this will be posted to the ICER Women in Energy portion of the website within a few days. The PowerPoint presentations will be also posted so that you can go back and study and think about what's been said. So a big thank you to each of our speakers for preparing those materials. I also just wish to remind our audience about Women in Energy. There are lots of activities that Women in Energy, the Women in Energy Initiative is engaged in. We have a mentoring initiative each year. We offer these webinars. We too are on social media, and we would love for the audience to engage us a little bit more on that. And whether you're a man or a woman, there are opportunities to engage with Women in Energy and your peers from around the world. So we encourage you to do that. And finally, if you have any ideas for future webinars, we would love to hear your ideas on that. And with that, I again thank our speakers and bid good day to all.